Hello students, welcome to the fourth session of the online class of chemistry. So basically this is the last session of this chapter, okay? In the previous class we have discussed the atomic number and the mass number along with the representation of the elements. In this session we will discuss the isotopes, then electronic configurations and the valency of elements. Now before heading towards the next topics, we'll discuss the representation of the elements because you have some doubts in this, right? So see, let's see an example. Here we are given the element fluorine like this. So based on the given informations, we have to represent the element. So how will we represent it? See, first we have the atomic number which is given above the symbol of the element, that is 9. So we have atomic number 9 and this number will be sitting at the bottom as a subscript. Now we have the symbol itself which is capital F. Now to determine the mass number, we have to consider the atomic mass, which is 18.993 atomic mass units. Now remember, mass number is always the nearest whole number to the atomic mass. So in this case, the nearest whole number to the atomic mass is 19. That means we get mass number as 19, which will be sitting at the top as a superscript. So we get this representation 19F9. So whenever you are asked to represent an element whose information is given like this, you have to write like this. Okay. Now in the next slide, we again have an example which is a mathematics problem to represent an element. See the question, the atomic number of bromine is 35 and the atomic mass is 79.904 atomic mass unit. So what is the mass number of bromine? What are the number of protons, electrons and neutrons? So we have to find out the number of protons, the number of electrons and the number of neutrons in the atom of bromine. See, first it is given that the atomic mass is 35. We know that atomic number represents the number of protons present in the atom. So we get number of protons as 35. Again, we already know that in an atom, number of protons and number of electrons is always equal. So we have the number of electrons as 35. Next, in order to find out the number of neutrons, we have the formula atomic number minus mass number. So, and we are given the atomic mass as 79.904. Again, we know that the mass number is the nearest whole number to the atomic mass. That is, the mass number would be 80, which is the round off of 79.904. So we get this representation as the number of protons, electrons and neutrons. We get the number of protons and electrons as 35 and we get the number of neutrons as 45, which is 80 minus 35, that is 45. So if we are asked to given the representation of bromine based on the above information, we can write it like this: 8035 bromine. Okay, in the next two slides, here we have some characteristics of atom. Write it down on your copies, but remember, no need to post it in the Edmodo app. Okay, I'll inform you when to upload it. Okay, see, first one is the number of protons in an atom is unique to each atom and is what distinguishes the atom of one element from that of another. It is called the atomic number, which we already learned in the previous class, and it is represented by the letter Z. Then the number of electrons in an atom is always equal to the number of protons. I have mentioned it earlier, right? So that the atom as a whole is neutral. Next is the mass of the atom is concentrated in the nucleus, which contains protons and neutrons held together. But the total number of protons and neutrons in an atom is called the mass number and it is represented by the letter capital A. Next, the number of neutrons in an atom can be obtained by subtracting Z from A. Okay, I mentioned it earlier, right? A minus Z. Next, the electrons move around the nucleus in specific orbits. They take part in chemical and physical changes. The properties of an element depend on the number and orientation of the electrons in its atom. The size of the nucleus is much smaller than the size of the atom. Next, if the atom is imagined to be the size of football field, the nucleus would only be the size of a mosquito. Okay, so next topic we have isotopes. Now see, we have the number of protons is unique to an element, but the number of neutrons in an element can vary. For example, carbon has 3 different types of atoms with different number of neutrons. Next, we have atoms of the same element with different number of neutrons but the same number of protons are called isotope, which is the definition of isotopes. So in an atom, the number of neutrons will be different and the number of protons will be same. Next, we have they have similar chemical properties but differ in their physical properties. Okay, their physical properties will be differ. Next, a variation in the number of neutrons does not affect the change of the nucleus, as neutrons are neutral. We already know that neutrons are neutral, so it will not affect the change of the nucleus. However, the atomic mass of each isotope will be different. For example, chlorine has two isotopes. Chlorine 35 has 18 neutrons and 17 protons, while chlorine 37 has 20 neutrons and 17 protons. But chlorine 35 is more abundant than chlorine 37. Next we have carbon has 3 isotopes. Carbon 12, carbon 13 and carbon 14. The number following the name indicates the mass number of the isotope. Okay, that means for carbon 12 the mass number is 12, for carbon 13 the mass number is 13, and the carbon 14 the mass number is 14. So carbon 12 is more abundant in nature. Next, hydrogen has 3 isotopes: hydrogen or protium, then deuterium and tritium. Their mass number are 1, 2 and 3 respectively. Protium is more abundant in the nature. So write it down in your copies along with this diagram of isotopes of hydrogen. See here, the number of neutrons in hydrogen is 0. The number of neutrons in deuterium is 2 minus 1, that is 1. And tritium 3 minus 1, that is 2. See the number of neutrons in deuterium and tritium, it is given as P and N, and here P and N. There are 2 neutrons in tritium. Okay. Next we have a question where you are given the 3 isotopes of lithium. Based on the information, you have to find out the number of protons and neutrons in each isotope. Okay. See, first we know that isotopes of an element have the same number of protons. So in this case, lithium isotopes will have 3 protons. Okay. Hence all the lithium isotopes have 3 protons. We get the number of protons, right? Next, they differ in the number of neutrons, which is calculated by the formula A minus Z. Hence, the 3 isotopes will have 3, 4 and 5 neutrons respectively. Okay, so clear? So how do we find the number of neutrons in an atom? The formula is A minus Z. Okay. Next, we have the topic electronic configuration. This is the new topic. Okay. See, the arrangement of electrons in an atom of an element is called the electronic configuration of the element. So this is the definition. Write it down. Okay. The study of Niels Bohr and others has shown that electrons move around the nucleus is in fixed paths called orbits. So they cannot move around randomly. Okay. Each orbit corresponds to a certain energy level. If an electron has to move to an orbit or a level closer to the nucleus, so it has to lose some energy. Okay. So when an atom wants to go nearer to the nucleus, okay, so it has to lose some energy. But if an electron has to move to an orbit or level further away from the nucleus, it has to gain some energy. The levels are also called shells and are named as K, L, M, N and so on. Okay, the maximum number of electrons in each level is equal to twice n square, where n is the shell number. See this figure. So we have four cells, namely K, L, M, and N. These are also known by 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Draw this figure in your copies, okay? Next, we have the maximum number of electrons in each orbit. So here we will find the number of maximum electrons in first four orbits. So for the K cell, the value of N is 1, that is N is equal to 1. So we get the maximum number of electrons as 2 into 1 square, that is 2 into 1 into 1, which is equal to 2. Next, for L cell, N is equal to 2. That's why we get 2 into 2 square, which is 2 into 2 into 2, that is number 8. For M, we get 18 number of electrons, and for N, we get 32. So that's how we find out the maximum number of electrons in a certain orbit, like K, L, M, N, then O. Okay, it will go on. Okay, so by using the formula twice n square, we can determine the maximum number of electrons in each energy level. Now see K shell. Here, hydrogen has one electron which occupies the K shell. Helium has two electrons and both occupy the K shell. The K shell can accommodate a maximum of 2 electrons. Okay, because we get the formula twice n square, and we get that K shell will occupy only 2 number of electrons. These two elements have their outermost electrons in the K shell. Now see hydrogen. For hydrogen, there is only one electron which is revolving around the nucleus of hydrogen. So electronic configuration. See here, EC means electronic configuration. So for hydrogen, electronic configuration will be 1. And for helium, see there are two nucleus that is revolving around the nucleus of helium. So for helium, electronic configuration will be 2. Okay, next we have L cell. So lithium has 3 electrons. Since K cell has a maximum capacity of 2 electrons, the third electron moves to the L cell, so the next cell. Okay, as atomic number increases from lithium to neon, that is from 2 to 10, each successive electron occupies the remaining spaces in L cell. So at neon, the L cell gets fully occupied with the maximum number of 8 electrons. We already know that L cell will occupy maximum number of 8 electrons. See, for lithium, there is one electron in the outermost cell, which is L cell, and two cell in the innermost shell, which is K cell. Then beryllium, there are 2 electrons in the K shell and 2 electrons in the L shell. Then for boron, 2 electrons in the first shell, that is K shell, and 3 in the L shell. So for lithium, electronic configuration will be 2.1, and for beryllium the electronic configuration will be 2.2, and for boron the electronic configuration will be 3. Next we have other elements, which is carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. Then see, for carbon, there are 4 electrons in the outermost shell. Then for nitrogen, there are 5 electrons in the outermost shell, and for oxygen, there are 6 electrons in the outermost shell. So for carbon, the electronic configuration will be 2.4. For nitrogen, the electronic configuration will be 2.5. And for oxygen, the electronic configuration will be 2.6. Next, we have fluorine and neon, which is the last two element of L cell. So in the fluorine, there are 7 electrons in the outermost shell, and for neon, there are 8 electrons in the outermost shell. So for fluorine, the electronic configuration will be 2.7, and for neon, the electronic configuration will be 2.8. Clear? Next, we have the M cell. So see, sodium has 11 electrons, as the atomic number of sodium is 11. Okay, the first 2 electrons occupy the K shell, and the next 8 electrons occupy the L shell. Now we have 1 electron, so the 11th electron enters a new shell, which is known as the M shell. Now see, as the atomic number increases from sodium to argon, that is from 11 to 18, each successive electron occupies the remaining spaces in the M shell. Now at argon, the M shell has 8 electrons. Okay, see, so for sodium, there is only one electron in the outer shell, as the first shell and the second shell is full with the maximum number of electrons. For the first shell that is 2, and for the second shell that is 8. Next we have magnesium, where there are 2 electrons in the outermost shell, and for aluminum there are 3 electrons in the outermost shell. So for sodium the electronic configuration is 2.8.1. For magnesium the electronic configuration is 2.8.2, and for aluminum the electronic configuration is 2.8.3. Next we have silicon, then phosphorus, and then sulfur. For sulfur there are 6 electrons in the outermost shell. For phosphorus there are 5 electrons in the outermost shell, and for silicon there are 4 electrons in the outermost shell. So the electronic configuration of silicon is 2.8.4. Then for phosphorus the electronic configuration is 2.8.5, and for sulfur the electronic configuration is 2.8.6. Then we have chlorine, and the last argon. In the chlorine there are 7 electrons in the outermost shell, and for argon there are 8 electrons in the outermost shell. So the electronic configuration for chlorine is 2.8.7, for argon is 2.8.8. Clear? Now see, so beyond argon, the occupation of the electronic levels gets more complex. You will learn it in the upper classes. Okay? See, the electrons in the outermost level of an atom are the region where chemical reactions take place. The inert or noble gases, that is helium, neon, argon, and so on, are very stable and unreactive. Okay, this is because they have completely filled outer electronic cells, 2 in the case of helium and 8 in the case of other noble gases. Such configurations are very stable and are called octet or duplet in the case of helium, as helium consists only 2 electrons. Okay, so these configurations are known as octet configurations. Now the next topic is valency. Okay, atoms combine with each other to form molecules. If the atoms in a molecule are identical, it is an element. So if the atoms are different, it is a compound. The tendency of an atom to combine with another atom to form a molecule depends on the number of electrons in its outermost shells. Okay, the outermost shell of an atom is called the valence shell, and the electrons present in the valence shells are the valence electrons. For chlorine there are 7 electrons in the outermost shell, right? So for chlorine the valence electrons, the number of valence electrons is 7. Okay, now here is a list where you will get the electronic configurations of from hydrogen to argon, that is from 1 to 18 number of elements. Okay, write it down on your copies. Next we have electronic configurations and valencies. An atom with a completely filled valence shell is highly stable. That is, for helium there are 2 electrons, right? And for neon there are 8 electrons, and for argon again there are 8 electrons, which is completely filled valence shell. That means helium, neon, and argon are very stable or highly stable. We have already seen that noble gases are very stable due to their completely filled valence shells. Helium has 2 valence electrons. The maximum capacity of the K cell is 2, while all the other noble gases have 8 electrons in their valence shells. Atoms with incomplete valence shells combine with other atoms in order to complete their valence shells or to achieve the electronic configuration of the nearest noble gas. Like for hydrogen, it will achieve the electronic configuration of the nearest noble gas, which is helium. So this is called the octet or duplet rule. Duplet in the case of helium and octet in the case of other noble gases. Okay, hydrogen has 1 valence electron in the K cell and it is very reactive. Okay, it combines with all non-metals and some metals to form compounds. In order to attain the stable electronic configuration of the nearest noble gas, that is helium, hydrogen must gain 1 electron. So how will it gain? It will gain 1 electron by reacting. Okay, so the valency of an element is the number of hydrogen atoms that can combine with or replace one atom of the element. So when it will react with other atom, so what will it do? It can either combine or it can replace one atom of the element. So it is the combining capacity of an atom. So your syllabus is completed. So up to this, you have learned that atomic number, mass number, valency, electronic configurations, then isotopes. Okay, so clear. In the next session, I will discuss the question answers with you. Okay, by the evening, I will give you the assignment. No need to post. Okay, no need to post it right now. I will inform you when to post and I will give you the assignment. And remember one thing, don't submit the assignment as a post or in the comment section. I'll give the assignment as a post. There you will go submit it in the assignment tab. In that way, it will be easier for me to check in and also to grade you. Okay, thank you. This much is for today. And in the next session, we will discuss the question answers and stop and check. Okay, thank you.